Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here, Podcast Pete and certified high performance coach. And we have a podcast for you this morning. A servant beyond what you normally think a servant is. I know Chip from our Rotary, and I know a little bit about him, but you're going to get a chance to meet him on this podcast. So, Chip, tell us who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll get into our podcast.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Pete. My
Thank you.
name is Chip Phillips. I am a partner at New Image Roofs, and I love serving my community and mostly the youth of my community through scouting and other youth involvement.
I love that last thing that you shared. I think today our youth is under incredible pressure because not like you and me, they're growing up in social media. They're growing up in a fishbowl. So, how did you get involved in scouting so our community has a better understanding of you?
I was involved personally as a youth myself in scouting. I My son brought home a flyer from school when he was in elementary school. They talked about Cub Scouts. And so we jumped at the opportunity and brought him along to scouting. He has been in scouting since he was in first grade, and he is currently a senior at Kennesaw Mountain High School, and he is this close to getting his Eagle. My daughter's also in the troop, in the female troop, and she's a Life Scout and a freshman at Kennesaw Mountain High School. So my kids got me involved, and that's just grown into what I do today.
Ooh, I love that. I go over to Kennesaw Mountain for the Habitudes and I work with sophomores. It's the second year. And I'm amazed at, like, when I first, this was back last year, I said it was bad on relationships. And I said, how many people can you tell me that you know by your first name in this class? And I was blown away. I mean, this was at the end of the year. They'd been in this class the whole year and maybe one, two names. So, kind of address, I want for our younger folks out there, how important has relationships been in your journey? And what could you tell a freshman in high school the importance of it if you're talking to a 15, 16-year-old Chip?
Um, I would say the most important relationships is when you get into high school is find your people. Find the people who help you to grow and to be a better person. You need to find the folks that you want to create relationships with that will help you be better as a person. Uh, it's hard, like you mentioned earlier. It's tough on the youth today with social media, a lot of influence and things like that. And we've gotten away from directing our children. And I think that giving our children the tools to grow and to find the right people and help them to be a good person is the most important thing today.
Hmm. Let's talk about your son. So he gets involved. He's close to being an Eagle Scout. What would you say to our community of that journey? Because you've obviously, as his dad, have watched him grow, watched him mature. He's at high school. That senior year, you're making another step beyond that to being an adult. How is that really, as a dad? What are you most proud of in his journey as as a dad and as a scout leader and being involved in this community?
Um, Scouting gives them the tools by means of advancement and opportunities that they don't get in the community. What I'm the most proud of is seeing him evolve from a young boy who was socially awkward, triplingly shy, into a leader, not only in the scouting movement and his troop, but also in his band. Um, he's grown exponentially. So through scouting, the first rank of scout all the way up to first class is all about learning how to be a good citizen, basic first aid, respect for nature and patriotism, things like that. From when they get to Star Scout up through Eagle Scout, it's all about leadership. It's all about taking advantage of the leadership opportunities and also teaching the younger scouts and accepting the younger scouts coming in order for them to flourish and grow as well.
Wow, that's so good. I used to service the Girl Scout camps during the summer, and so I got to know the scout leaders through just my position in food service. And I heard things about it, but my girls weren't involved in scouting, and they were involved in sports. They developed community within that. Well, I would love for you to just like a new person that doesn't know anything about scouting, but they are aware of the responsibilities as a parent. If I'm in eighth grade or I'm a younger and I see a flyer that comes out, what would you say to that parent that you have gained by having both your kids involved in it, and how could you encourage them?
First and foremost, I would encourage them to come to a meeting. You want to reach out to the troop that, or if they're younger, it would be a pack. So there's Cub Scouts that's kindergarten through fifth grade, and then the troop is youth sixth grade through basically 18 years old. So I would involve the child in a meeting. So I'd reach out to the scout troop or the pack and find out what they have going on and take the youth to an activity. Also, there's no requirement for a parent to be involved. You do need to be registered. They have a background check and other systems in place now that you need to satisfy. But I would encourage a parent to be involved because you only have this much time with your child, and to take advantage of and have an opportunity where you can be involved in a program that allows you to flourish and grow and actually see that growth firsthand is one of the most rewarding things you can have as a parent.
Wow. What, as a business leader and a person that's involved in the community, what has that being a scout leader, being involved in scout, how has that helped you in your business career?
um I mean, it's our business thrives on the fact that we're honest and we do the right thing. And to have the backing of being able to tell people I'm involved in my community, not only through Rotary and scouting, but also my own business,
Mhm.
it goes a long way. With the trust factor, I joke and tell people all the time, I want to do the right thing by you because I don't want to feel like if I see you in the grocery store, I need to turn around in the aisle and run the opposite direction, or if I see you in a restaurant, I need to hide under the table. I grew up here all my life, and I want to do the right thing by my community. I mean, honestly, that's the biggest drive for me is taking care of my neighbors.
Yeah, I love that. I'm laughing not because of what you said, but what it reminded me of. I had a Honda back years ago, maybe 20 years ago, and it was like any Honda, it lasted a long time. So when I sold it, it was like for 1,000 or something, whatever it was. And I run into the guy at Target and I ask him about, hey, how's my car doing? And my daughter was with me, and it wasn't that positive. He goes, "Yeah, it broke down," or something like that. And my daughter said, "Why did you say something to him?" I said, "I had no idea. He was buying a used car, 20 years old. I mean, hey, what do you expect? It's not going to be a brand new car." But I think to your point,
Mhm.
if I was kind of thinking, "Oh, that car's gonna break down as soon as I sell it," I probably would have avoided him because I didn't wanna know the reality of what was going on. But I think that is so important. If you can see a person you put a roof on 20 years later and they say, Chip, that was such a pleasant experience. Thank you for your team and everything that you did to make it a positive thing for my house." That is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
You don't want
absolutely.
that from people, because you
Mhm.
didn't do the right
Yeah.
thing. So let's shift a little bit to Rotary. So,
Mhm.
why did you join Rotary, and what was the motivation about being involved in an organization like Rotary?
So I was actually first exposed to Rotary in high school. I was in Interact at Riverside Military Academy. So I saw what they did, right? And that was at a youth as a youth. Um,
Hmm.
and then I was actually invited to a couple of Rotary meetings through our district executive here at the Atlanta Area Council, and I got to see firsthand some of the things that they did. And it was really unique to see all of these cool opportunities that people are presenting to their community. Everything from people taking up old bikes and rehabbing them and giving them to children, to honestly the polio initiative in Rotary International, things like that. I
Hmm.
tell people that it completed my triangle, and the best way I can describe it is a triangle is I have scouting on one side, where I can give back to my youth. I can take care of and shepherd them, and then I have on the other side, I have my business where I'm a member of a closed networking group, and that's how I can grow my business. And then Rotary presents me the opportunity at the top of the triangle to thank my community for all that they do for me, not only through scouting but also for my business. So it,
Ooh,
it completes my triangle.
I love that. How do you balance those three? Like, can you give our community an idea? Because you have very demanding roles that you're describing. How do you balance those, and what are you doing to make sure that each part of that triangle gets the proper prioritizing and time?
It's a bit of a juggling act. I always joke with people that my hands can't be idle, and people often joke with me that I'm the guy who can't say no. So I have learned how to uh, parcel out my time, schedule everything accordingly, so that I can be very proactive and intentional about where I put my time. And also, it's important that I take care of my own family and that I don't neglect my own relationships. But personal growth through service is one of the most important things to me, and it fills your bucket to be able to help.
Hmm. I love that. We share one thing in common. I didn't know it until you shared it. I went to a military high school up in Richmond,
Oh,
Virginia, and it was to this day. I went to my 50th high school reunion, and I stay in touch with so many of my classmates because of that bond that you create going through that experience. And it was after the Vietnam War, but before the next conflict that we have. So I didn't serve in the military, but I went to military high school. How did going to Riverside, how did that shape you by going through that experience?
um, it's being it's going to sound a little cliche, but it's being forged by fire. I
Mhm.
went um, I went to Riverside. Basically, I went from sitting in the back seat of my mama's car drill. I credit my mother, single mom,
Mhm.
for sending me to school. Quite frankly, I was going down the wrong path,
Mhm.
and wouldn't be surprised if I didn't go to Riverside. I would have ended up in probably a bad place. Um, it taught me to be a leader. It taught
Mhm.
me to trust the leaders who were leading me.
Mhm.
And I was surrounded by missing in my life. Um, it was a great benefit to me, and I'm very thankful that I was a part of it. Now, if you talk to me in my freshman year, the opportunity to have attended military school, it was a very positive force in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I always ask people about high school friends because, I've, when I had a stroke 3.5 years ago, and three of my high school buddies, one was in Asheville at the time. He drove down just to have lunch. Two of them flew in. And, I will often talk about high school, and people go, nah, I don't keep in touch with them. Some of my college friends or other friends. but you do develop a bond when you're going through kind of structured discipline that you appreciate later in life. And you're not at the time, you're not, because nobody likes it.
No.
I had my hair short, and it was like I was always getting into trouble, but that would force me to, kind of follow a straighter path. What would you say? I know that through Rotary that people will bring in flags that they want to retire. So share with our community what that process is and what that means to you.
So there's only a couple of entities that are authorized to retire flags properly in the United States, and Scouts is one of them. So people bring in their flags. So we not only utilize the flags as teaching tools, but we respectively retire them. So what I mean by that is we use the flags to teach Scouts how to properly fold and care for flags, and then we have depending on the troop, we quarterly or bi-yearly flag retirement ceremonies. So what we do is we build a fire, and then we respectively retire the flags by putting them into the fire. One of the really cool things that a lot of troops do after the fact is a couple of days after the retirement of the flags, they'll go into the ashes of the fire and they'll pull out the grommets, the metal circles that you use to attach the flags to the poles, and they'll
Mhm.
tie to them, or they'll put them in small baggies with like a note, and they'll give them to people as a keepsake. Or we will, before the retirement, we'll ask if there are veterans in the crowd or first responders, and we'll get their contact information, and we'll make sure that they're given something, especially if a family gives us a flag in honor of a loved one. We'll make sure that we get the grommets back to them.
Ooh, that's very special. What would you say, like growing a business, like you're in a very competitive field.
Mhm.
How are you handling the massive changes that are coming and that are here to manage a competitive business that you could share with our viewers?
Well, obviously, a lot of roofing is tied to insurance, and the landscape of insurance has changed, and so you have to be able to adapt. And we adapt by not only learning the new processes and implementing those, but we have actually realigned ourselves to take care of the customers based on how insurance has changed. We don't shy away from repairs. We would rather build a relationship with somebody through a repair and take care of them and give them peace of mind than just say, no, we're not going to. If you don't have a full roof that we need to replace, we're just not going to fool with you. We're not those roofers. We want to take care of folks. And we, quite frankly, if we get on the roof and the damage is there and viable, we will fight for the insured in order to hopefully get them taken care of through the claims process. Not every roof is an insurance claim, so we can take care of things like roof maintenance or things like that. We also do gutters and downspouts and all kinds of stuff. But being able to adapt to the new landscape that insurance is in is very much key to being successful.
Ooh, I love that. I know one of your partners, and it just happened by accident when all of a sudden I'm talking to my son-in-law, and the question came up. What about being in a business where you have partners? Give us the good side and then the challenging side to partnerships in business.
The good side is the accountability. You get up and go to work every day, right? You realize that you're helping others put food on their table. You're helping others build a business. You're helping others not only create but also maintain a community engagement. Things like that. Uh, the bad side, I don't know that there's really a bad side per se.
Or the
Getting
challenge.
everybody in a room,
Mhm.
a challenge, yeah, challenging. Um, getting everybody in the room and on certain topics and getting everybody to get on the same page and or understand the direction we need to go. I mentioned the landscape of insurance changing. It's been a challenge.
Mhm.
It's not. There's no easy fix. There's no easy answer. We've tried and failed, and we've tried and we've been very successful, and that's just part of it. And having other partners to lean on through those trials is paramount.
Ooh, that's so good. And I heard of somebody say it. I don't know who it was. There's no such thing as a solo entrepreneur. It's a team effort, and so together you're better. What roles did you guys when you put the company together? How did you define your roles? Like, what are you responsible for, and what are your other partners? How are they handling, because you got to spread things out and you each have to have your niche of what you do best.
Sure,
How was that?
sure.
How did that happen?
So we all have our niche. So for instance, I'm a licensed general contractor. I've been in construction all my life. So basically, I take care of it. If it's not a full roof replacement, I take care of it. If it's a repair, if it's a warranty, if it's gutters and downspouts, if it's a one-off where we're doing an addition on a house and we need to tie into the existing roofs, things like that. That's what I do. And then we have another business partner. His sole responsibility is re-roofs. So if a roof is coming off and going back on, he schedules it, orders materials, coordinates the project manager, coordinates delivery, installation. If there is if we're within city limits, sometimes you have to have a roofing permit, things of that nature. Then you have sales, who basically, takes care of making sure that the salespeople have what they need, whether it's samples or, any kind of technology that they need to learn about in order to communicate to the customer, to basically just simple scheduling, adjuster appointments or roof inspections. And then you have the business aspect of it, which is I like to refer to the partner that's in charge of that as the head of the Hydra, because he has a business acumen like no other. He's very well versed in what he does, and he keeps the ship from being rudderless, if you want to say that.
Yeah, that's a key thing, because you always have to have somebody that is got the focus on the right thing and can keep that rudder on the ship and going going in the direction that you want. What innovation is upon us, and AI is going to turn the world upside down. How are you guys leaning into the technology and the AI part of your business for the future?
Um, with the AI, really, we explored a little bit of AI with our phone service.
Hmm.
If that's about the extent of my knowledge on the AI. Again, I'm a construction dude, so the whole AI thing is a little lost on me, to be quite frank. I've seen it used for the benefit of descriptive things like, I guess, advertisements and things like that. But we're pretty much word of mouth. We do very little advertising other than within the community. We generally will sponsor teams or schools or school functions. So there's signage and things like that. But I myself, um, I haven't used AI a lot.
Yeah, I'll share a story, because I have a call at 11 o'clock with my partner up in Canada, and he's that guy we talked before we went on the air. And 3 years ago, I was starting podcasts and having a blast, learning, having fun, and he would say, "Pete, how are you using AI?" And I said, "I'm not, and I don't care to." I said, "I'm having a good time, and I don't want to get into that stuff. I believe in HI, human intelligence." And he kept after me, he goes, "Just play with it. Just play with it." And I had my first course that I came out with 3 years ago. And being I grew up dyslexic and ADD, focus was never my skill, and the vocabulary, I could misspell any word pretty easily. So writing was never it. So, but I he kept after me, and I put a course together, and I just used AI. I said, give me a course that reflects this, 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 and this. And in 15 seconds, it spat out something that probably would have taken me 6 months to a year to do. I about fell out of my chair when quite frankly, I saw the power and the speed of it. And so, fast forward 3 years, I use it quite frequently now, but it was encouraging. It's almost like you have to do something to appreciate something. You can't like somebody can't say something and you're going to get it. It's like if I wanted to be a roofer, just because I read about it in a book, I'm not going to be a good roofer because I have to do it. So I'm always curious
Mhm.
because every afternoon I call people and I have conversations because I get up at 3:30 and I'm at 3:30 in the afternoon is when my energy starts to dip a little bit. But then I get on the phone and I talk to
Yep.
people and that kind of brings me my energy back. But so what would you say like to a person that wants to be involved? Like, tell me about the first time you went Thursday morning to our Rotary, which is at Copeland's. What was your impression, even though you had experience in it, when you walked into
Mhm.
the restaurant and the meeting? What was that like when you saw that for the first time?
Well, everyone is so welcoming and engaging. It's you walk in and everyone introduces themselves to you, and there's just an energy in that room that you can't really describe. The fact that within 10 minutes of every meeting you sit down, have a great breakfast, and within 10 minutes you get to a point of the meeting where they call sunshine. And the fact that everybody can stand up and talk about a celebration in their life, that to
Mhm.
me is you can't get more positive than that, right? We talk through world issues, we talk through problems and things that have happened, but we acknowledge it in a positive way, right? That you get fed so much every day through social media and everything else, and to have a positive thing in your life is so important, and Rotary brings that, right? Everybody in there is of like mind, everybody in there supports a cause, people champion their own endeavors and projects, and just to have people in there who are like-minded and driven and positive and bringing some light into the world is just such a great thing. And to be a part of it, it's just such a privilege.
Yeah, I agree with you because you said about with your son and your daughter, you're surrounding them with people that are striving to be leaders, they're striving to do the right thing. Our environment is so much behavior comes from the people we hang around with. And if
Mhm.
you're hanging around people that do drugs, probably going to do drugs. If you're hanging around people that drink heavily, you're probably going to drink heavily. If you're hanging around people that are making an impact in the community, it's going to help you step up and be that leader. I will tell our viewers, it was hilarious. Chip and I were sitting next to each other at the last meeting, and I don't carry cash that much, but I do a little bit. And I only had a $10 bill, and the sunshine was coming up. I said, Jim, you got $1? Because it's $1 to do sunshine. Some people do a lot more, but you didn't have it, and I had to put in $10 because I didn't have a one. So it is, but it
I only had a
is,
20.
yeah. Yeah, I know. There's one table, they're always putting 20s in. That's not my table.
Uh-huh.
So, but what I want to talk about is that sunshine, sharing good things that are going in your life. A lot of people,
Mhm.
they don't share enough. And so, is something magical about sharing. We want to celebrate life, and like you said, but you're sharing it with your Rotarians. And I can remember so many sunshines because somebody stood up and shared that magical moment of sunshine with the group. And so it's like everybody is like, hey, that was great. Or they just know that there's some good things going on, and we need more of that in our community. What would you say, as we're winding down a little bit, there's a lot of tension out there, and it seems like there's no middle discussions. How do you handle with your kids? I know you're involved in scouting. Like, how are you talking to your kids about the tension that's out there in the younger people that are growing up in a different world?
Um, I I try very hard to teach my children to be good people, and I think part of being a good person is understanding that there are people who hold different values, opinions, and differences from you, and all you can do is just try to love on everybody. It's not our place to judge anybody. It's not our place to make snap decisions, and it's not our place to correct somebody who doesn't think the way we think. Um, it's our place to be here to love and care and understand, and that's what I try to teach my children on a daily basis. When I say my children, I'm not only talking about my own. I'm talking about all of the youth that I'm involved with. Um,
Ooh, that's
I think it's
beautiful.
very important that we understand each other.
Yes, I totally agree. So, before I ask the final question, tell people how can they get a hold of you?
The best way is to just call me directly. I'll be happy to come take a look at anything you have going on and give you solutions and or just have a cup of coffee with you, talk to you about scouts.
Awesome. Yes. And 404-477-7802 is directly to Chip.
Yes,
So
sir.
for our audio listeners that don't see it on the screen, that's the number to reach him. And we'll put it in the show notes too. So Chip, what would be the one thing that you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
That you can trust me. You can trust me with your business needs. You can trust me with helping grow your children. You can trust me in the community. Go out and do the right thing.
Ooh, man, that's what we call a gold nugget that you just dropped on our community. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to thank
Yes,
our
sir.
viewers for being with us, and share this. If you know a parent that doesn't know about scouting, has heard the word, take Chip up on it. Come to a meeting and share this video so they can hear a little bit about why it's going to be helpful for you to, oops, come on and come to a meeting. And if you need to get a hold of Chip, if your roof is kind of shanky and you want a trusted person to give you the right advice and the right um, direction, give Chip a call. So thank you so much, Chip, for spending time with us in our
Sure.
community this